Will the missing species get re-added in free updates? Or will they get resold to us in DLC? And what else could we see get added in Jurassic World Evolution 3 DLC? I think we are in for a pleasant surprise. Jurassic World Evolution 3 will launch with 82 species in the base game. That's 40 less than Jurassic World Evolution 2 ended with after all the DLC. And of those 40 species, everyone has their own favorites that they really don't want to lose. When we went from Jurassic World Evolution 1 to Jurassic World Evolution 2, only 4 species didn't make the cut in the base game. Huayangosaurus was part of the deluxe pack, and the 3 hybrids returned in one of the last DLCs. People were not happy, and that was only 4 species, so now magnify that by 10. 10 times more species have been lost between games. The problem isn't just the possible price tag. We'd be getting new male models, baby models, and animations for each after all, so even a returning species has new content. But each returning species that's put into a DLC would take the place of a brand new species we could have had instead. If we look at the deluxe edition for Jurassic World Evolution 3, we see a 50-50 split between new and returning animals, which sets a precedent for future DLC. If Jurassic World Evolution 3 follows the same DLC strategy as Jurassic World Evolution 2, meaning only 4 new species per DLC, well, with a backlog of 40 species to re-add, we would possibly see only 2 truly new animals per DLC. And if support for the game ends after 2.5 years, like what happened with the previous 2 games, then we won't even get all species back, even if they take up half the DLC slots. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Frontier 100% made the right call with a starting roster of 82, which is more than what Jurassic World Evolution 2 started with. By dropping the 40 extra species, they freed up the time and resources to invest in improving Jurassic World Evolution 3 as a park builder, with new creative tools, rather than scrambling to put all 122 species into the base game and basically giving us an upgraded dinosaur screenshot generator. But as much as I think new species isn't what the new game needs most, it would be disappointing if those 40 species end up taking up 50% of all DLC slots, meaning that we'd have to pay for them and exchange them for brand new dinosaurs that we could have had instead. That last part for me is the main rub. However, I don't think Jurassic World Evolution 3 will follow the 4 species DLC strategy of Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think Frontier has something much better up their sleeve. But first, isn't it too early to talk about DLC? Yes, oh my god, yes, it's way too early. But this series of games has been my autistic hyperfixation since 2018, and clearly I've stopped evolving as a person. So whether stuff is too soon, too much, too niche, too nitpicky, I don't care. I want to think about this sort of stuff. If it's the same for you, subscribe to the channel. Jurassic World Evolution 2 had 2 expansions based on Jurassic World Dominion, which included dinosaurs, buildings, maps, and a campaign edition, but every other DLC was just 4 new species. That's it. While new species are always cool, don't get me wrong, I think for Jurassic World Evolution 3 they can do better. And I think they will. Jurassic World Evolution 3 is basically Planet Jurassic, by which I mean it resembles Frontier's other games, Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, with the introduction of modular building. Planet Zoo launched in 2019 and is still being supported by Frontier with new content. The most recent pack released in April of this year, and it was the 20th DLC to get added to the game. Now, I don't know about my fellow Jurassic World Evolution 2 park builders, but for years I've been watching the Planet Zoo DLCs drop with envy, because the Planet Zoo DLC are simply better than what we got for our dinosaur parks. There is a little bit of variation in Planet Zoo DLC split between packs and animal packs, but most of the DLC consists of 3 elements: new species, new scenery items, and new campaign scenarios. I wished they would have adopted that approach for Jurassic World Evolution 2. Give us the species and give us new decorations for just a slightly higher price. They didn't go that route. I think this time around they will, or at least they should. I think there's a good chance that they will do this because Jurassic World Evolution 3 is essentially Planet Zoo but with dinosaurs. It's perfectly set up to not just have its dinosaur roster, but also its decorative options expanded upon. Planet Zoo has proven to be a wildly successful title for Frontier, and Jurassic World Evolution 3 has the same formula through which they can replicate that success. So what I think and what I hope they'll do for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is give us packs with new animals and new scenery items, and maybe even extra campaign scenarios. If they do, each pack improves the game on 3 fronts. It becomes a better game for those who just want to look at cool dinosaurs, make ecosystems, and do battle royales. It becomes a better game for the creative builders, giving us more pieces to build our parks. And it becomes maybe not a better game for park managers, but it'll at least have more for them to do after they finish the main campaign and beat all the challenge modes. The trade-off, of course, is that DLC would be more expensive. More content means higher expenses, means a higher price tag. But this strategy has the potential to lure back every type of player, get every type of player excited to boot up the game again. It has proven to be successful for Planet Zoo, which has a very loyal player base still active to this day, and I think it would be a success for Jurassic World Evolution 3. Another thing they could cheat off Planet Zoo is the theming of the DLC, which is around locations and biomes. Looking at the known campaign locations for Jurassic World Evolution 3, locations in Australia, Africa, and South America are sorely missing. But what perfect DLCs those would make! Each introducing species from those regions, decorations and pre-built buildings themed after the culture and architecture of those regions, and of course campaign scenarios taking place on maps in those parts of the world. Scripting this and recording this, just thinking about this possibility gets me so excited, and I really hope they adopt this approach. Okay, but now we still have to answer the question we started with. How are the 40 missing Jurassic World Evolution 2 species going to factor into this? Whichever species ends up not being in Jurassic World Evolution 3 on October 21st, I'm fairly confident will get added down the line. The question is whether they will be in paid DLC or free updates. A few months ago, I made a video saying I'd be fine with the roster getting cut in half if it meant we'd have babies. And it's kind of eerie how that sort of came true. But before you blame me for anything, I did say in that video that in that case, I'd want the cut species to return entirely for free. How this would work is every time Frontier releases a paid DLC with new species and other new content, they'd release a free update alongside it that includes some returning Jurassic World Evolution 2 species, and they can tinker away at that over the course of its lifespan. If Jurassic World Evolution 3 has a long life ahead of it, like Planet Zoo, which god, that would be the dream, then they have plenty of time to spread out the workload of making new models and animations. The free content is a good lure to get players back into the game if they've lost interest, and they might fall in love with it again to the point that they're willing to buy whatever new DLC has just released. The returning Jurassic World Evolution 2 dinosaurs would be freebies, which is a classic retailer strategy. A lot of people dismiss this as entirely unrealistic for Frontier to do, as if Frontier doesn't have a history of giving us stellar free updates. There have been so many times over the course of Jurassic World Evolution 2 where I was more excited about the stuff in the free updates than I was about the DLC. I don't think it's impossible to see all Jurassic World Evolution 2 species get re-added, eventually, for free. I do acknowledge though that while not impossible, it is an idealistic scenario, and how often in real life does the best case scenario become reality? So I admit, there is a good chance at least some of the returning species will take up slots in paid DLC, and the Deluxe Edition species certainly point in that direction. Frontier upped the ante by not just adding baby models for each species, but sexual dimorphism in the adults as well. This means every species that comes over from Jurassic World Evolution 2 to Jurassic World Evolution 3 doesn't just require one extra model with skins, but 2 extra models with skins. And because of that, I wouldn't be too upset if some of the returning species end up being resold to us in paid DLC, and there's a perfect way to soften the blow. As I proposed earlier in the video, Jurassic World Evolution 3 could follow the recipe of Planet Zoo animal packs, which include 5 to 8 species, rather than the mere 4 species from the Jurassic World Evolution 2 packs. Let's say each DLC gets 6 species. I'd be okay with 1 or 2 of those being Jurassic World Evolution 2 species, considering each has 3 models and about a dozen new animations for the babies. And DLC would include scenery items, new campaign scenarios, and maps, ideally. Basically, it'd be the equivalent of a Jurassic World Evolution 3 expansion, so percentage-wise, not much of the price tag would go towards resold content. In my video trying to predict the base game roster, I left out species like Muttaburrasaurus, Oranosaurus, and Herrerasaurus, even though I think those are great species. But I think they'd be great picks to re-add down the line in the region-based DLC. If it turns out Jurassic World Evolution 3 DLC are just, once more, 4 species, nothing else, and half of them are returning species and they're no cheaper than what they used to be, then I'm gonna be disappointed and annoyed, and you'll hear about it. For now, I'm hopeful we could get a good compromise and still see a lot of the species return for free. If you're interested in more Jurassic World Evolution 3 speculations and of course the news, stay tuned for more. The next video will be all about the new species I think we could see at launch, and in the meantime, check out my coverage of the 2 trailers if you haven't already. Those include exclusive footage and information not included in the trailers or even the website, and I've also tackled the question whether Rebirth content could be a DLC or base game. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, stay tuned for more.